Hello everybody, hi. Excuse the scruffies, I've just come in from walking the dogs. I've just literally come in, given them a shower. Haven't had a shower myself yet. Good job you haven't got smelly vision. But made myself a coffee because I was gasping for a coffee this morning. And yeah, and I thought I'll come on quick before he gets back from golf. And then we end up doing stuff during the day, and then I still haven't vlogged at 7 o'clock tonight, and you know, I need to get this done. I really need to get it done on a Thursday, but sewing this week. First of all, welcome if you're new here. Hello, hi, I'm Karen, this is Karen Sew Slowly. Welcome back to all my regulars. Hi everybody, hope you're all great and feeling tickety boo, and you've had a chance to sew or do whatever your thing is. This is more of a catch up rather than I have done sewing before, you know, before you all switch off. I've just done nothing this week. I've had a really busy week, really busy week. The light that comes in of the morning is nice because the sun comes in this way. Although I do have a bit of a health thing to tell you about, which is light is actually causing me a bother at the minute, but never mind. So I've been cracking on with my Mrs. Quilty project. I don't know if you saw my Vlogmas. I think one of the Vlogmases I mentioned that I'd been sent a Mrs. Quilty subscription box. They actually sent me 3 boxes, which was very decent of them. And this is the first one of the 3 that I've got. So I decided, you know, this is a subscription box that you just join, and it builds up into a sort of a series of little projects that you can do with each box if you want to. If you're a more experienced quilter, you might just like getting the fat quarters, because you do get 12, I think, fat quarters. Is it 12? It's a lot of fabric, and the fabrics are really nice. But maybe in me, instead of going for the project, I think the first project in every magazine is the block of the month, that you could obviously make the block and put it into a quilt. And I thought, no, let's go straight, you know, false confidence. Let's go straight for project number 4, which was the placemat. Because I thought I can find a use for that. I've got to have a drink, sorry. Oh, God, I love coffee. So this is how far I've got on. Now, you can see their choice of materials, not mine. They say which fabrics to use. So you can see sort of like, where can you see it? Oh, you can definitely see it there, but this is the bit I'm going to unpick, I think. So this strip along the top here, from that seam all the way along the top, is a separate strip that you sew on at the end. You make these sort of like individual strips, then you do the square in the middle, and then you add the strips to the square, and the last things you do is put the strip at the top and the strip at the bottom on. And this is where you find out if you've stuck to your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now, I think I have. I think I've done all right. But you'll see here that that's not right. So the point of that triangle disappears into the seam, and it's meant to come to a point exactly on the corner of the point of this triangle, you see. So that's a little bit off, and at the other side it's a little bit the other way. It's too much the other way. But these strips, as you can see, are way longer. I mean, that's way more than 1/4 inch. That's about, I think it's about 1 centimetre. The 2 strips were so much longer, and it's the same at the other side as well. It's longer at the other side. So these 2 strips were way longer than this bit in the middle. So therefore I'm looking and I'm thinking, no, all of those are 1/4 inch seams. So I've done something wrong. And I even checked the measurements, because that starts off as a rectangle that you put a square of this colour material and you sew it diagonally and then you fold it back and you trim off, and that's how you end up with the rectangle with the triangle in the corner. So I even checked the size of the rectangle, unfolded the seams, measured it across, checked the measurements in the book. I've gone wrong somewhere, basically. And it's only a little bit, and to be fair, it's a mat to put my sewing machine on. But it's just annoying. You just want to get it right. And I also think, I mean, if anybody's a quilter out there, I don't know if these seams should match those seams. You see, they're a little bit skew with. But this is definitely wider than that. So there's no way I could have made those seams match. So I thought, right, okay. But it's all about matching the border here, which I've managed quite well. Definitely managed it on that bit. Yeah. But that's been my sewing this week. And I am quite pleased with it as my first ever bit of proper quilting following a pattern. Like I say, I made a little quilt for my last dog to sit on out of a jelly roll, and I just sort of winged it. I made it, and I sort of watched a couple of YouTube videos and thought, and then just did my own thing. As I do, you know. I know how to do that. I've watched that. Anyway, I have enjoyed it though. I really have enjoyed it. It's actually quite scary how much I've enjoyed it, because I'm thinking, you know, sewing this triangle onto this rectangle, and I was like, oh God, this is taking forever. Well, the first one obviously did, because I needed to know I was getting the things the right way around. And to be fair, the way the magazine is written, so that's your first step that you do here. And what it says in the, I have some glasses, Karen, that would help. Place each square on the left side of a 6.5 by 3.5 B rectangle. Sew along this line. Well, if I'm placing something to the side, see, that's my fabric, and I'm placing that to the side, I would place it there. And it does tell you to draw a diagonal on the square that you're placing, and then it said sew along this line. So I'm thinking, well, but it's next to that, and you sew along the diagonal. Couldn't get my head around that. And looking at the pictures, I'm sorry, but they're neither use nor ornament. That doesn't say if that's alongside it or if it's on top of it. You know, in a sewing pattern, it would show you the blue fabric underneath, and it would say right sides together, place it on top. Even though you know that's how you sew a seam, that you have your right sides together, but it doesn't say anything about that in the instruction. The actual instruction says, using a pencil or disappearing ink pen, draw a diagonal line on each of the fabric C1 squares. On each of the fabric C1 square, not squares. Place each square on the left side of a 6.5 by 3.5 B rectangle. Doesn't say place it on top, it says on the left side. Trim the corner. So I did have a few head scratching moments. There's a couple of things in here. You get to step 5, and by this time I was getting used to the mistakes in the magazine. For the remaining A1 triangles, you don't cut triangles. You make them into triangles. And for A1, you cut 4 pieces 6.5 by 3.5, 4 squares measuring 3.5 inches, and 1 square measuring 4.5. So for the A1 triangles, sorry, you don't know what they are, a line of C1 square on the right side. C1 squares are the 3.5 by 3.5. So yeah, so I looked at those and I thought, no, it doesn't mean triangles, it means rectangles. So I've actually just made a little alteration there if I ever do this again. And it's quite annoying that this is like the first one you get, and that mistake's been made, but hey ho. I am going to pull, no, that's the good one. It's this one. So I'm going to take this strip off. I've already taken it off once. I'm going to take it off again. And you can see how much I've had to sort of adjust it to get it where it was. I think I'm just going to take it off, line it up, do it with a 1/4 inch seam and see what that looks like. I don't know. It's my first time quilting. But I noticed the last thing is, make a sandwich, backing fabric right side down, batting fabric and patchwork right side up. You know, mine's already fused to me backing fabric, so is that the order you put them in? I don't know, must be. So it says, okay, so where? So right round the edge, so you leave a bit so you can turn it inside out. So, and use the binding technique of your choice. And this is probably where I should have done those projects. I should have done them in order. It tells you how to do corners. I've just read the instructions for, is this the pot holder? And again, I'm not sure sort of what sort of size the binding is, but can you see how much bigger the backing is to the, I don't think that's right. And even the strips that are bigger than this bit here on both sides are still not as big as that. So fair enough, you might lose a little bit of that when you do your binding, I suppose. To be continued. But I really enjoyed doing it because you literally went woof and that bit was sewed and woof that bit was sewed. And then I had my little station here with my little ironing board and my little iron. And so I was chain piecing, get me. I don't know if that's what you call it, but like setting up a chain gang. I was doing the erasable pen diagonals, stitching the diagonals, getting the pail, moving it to the next bit, moving it, ironing, getting my seams flat and everything. And I had a little sort of production line going. That's what I was, production line going. And it was really, yeah, it was quite relaxing, quite chilling. Would really, really recommend it if you weren't a person who was bothered about garment sewing, or you tried it and you just don't like, or even if you're a garment sewer and you just need a break from sewing garments. You know, it's like when I made the mouse, when I made Mrs. Mouse, I quite liked the break from sewing garments and having to like, oh, where's this notch, and you know, line stuff up and that. And although this is precise, everything worked exactly as it should up until that last little bit. And I can't see where it's gone wrong. But because I'd read other bits of the instructions and I thought, well, you've just been an idiot, Karen. Because there was other bits like that, I do think it's me not seeing like where I've gone wrong. I think that's it. I don't have so much of a quilting brain, whereas I mean I don't have much of a garment like sewing brain, to be honest, because I can't look at a garment and think that's where I've gone wrong. I bought a whole book on how to spot mistakes and how to correct them, and I still haven't been opened it. But I'm not able to see where the error is with garment sewing. So, and I definitely can't with quilting because I can't see how I've gone wrong. If I've measured all my pieces exactly as they say and done my 1/4 inch seams, then it should go together perfectly. But then dresses and things should go together perfectly. And as we know, with me, it doesn't always happen, does it? So that's my little bit of sewing. And I've cut out a pattern or traced a pattern. Sorry, darling. Sorry, I didn't know you were there. Go on. Just kick the dog. Sorry. I've traced off the lyra. So if you saw my last vlog, you'll know that I was going to do a collab with Granny Linda Sews from Instagram. My friend Linda, who she came round on Sunday and basically just give us a shake. Just like, this is the material, this is the pattern. No, she let me pick the pattern. She brought 2 of her lyra dresses that she'd made round, and I tried them on so I could see that the size 6 was definitely going to fit me, no bother. And we decided we'd go for the lyra, but she basically asked me which one I wanted to make, and I quite fancied making the lyra, so that's what I'm going to go for. And then she said, now what fabric are you going to use? So I had to sort of reveal my stash, which was, to be fair, pretty paltry actually. But we decided on this one. I say we, Linda just told me. Actually, it was brilliant because to have somebody there and interrupt my daft brain and just say, use this fabric, this is the pattern, now you're going to have long sleeves or short, right, okay then, so you'll get enough, you've got enough fabric there, and that was it, decision made. We picked this material. I got this fabric. Ooh. I want to say the summer last year, but I think it was early summer, and I think I've got a good 4 meters there. It's quite a lot of it. This is quite weighty, and it is like a very fine viscose. But as soon as Linda saw it, she went, oh, that's lovely, that would make a lovely lyra. So yeah, it's a bit more of a summery frock thing, but that's what we picked, and that's what I'm going to use. That's ready to start now. So if I don't manage to ring Linda today to tell her how far I haven't got with sewing up, she suggested I make toile of just the bodice pieces to see if it's actually going to fit my bust and my waist and stuff like that. And she keeps sending me texts like, how far have you got, what are you doing, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh well, I've done this today but I haven't done any sewing, and I've done that. So she's keeping me in check, she's keeping an eye on what I'm doing, which she doesn't know I've been doing with Mrs. Quilty, so I might get wrong. So Linda, I'm sorry, but I really needed to do Mrs. Quilty as well. But I was shaking so much after Linda went. She terrified me. No, I was shaking so much. I was still, she said, oh, you know, she could say I was shaking. It was better, but there's just no way I could have. I was even having difficulty sort of just tracing a fine line. The pencil was all over the place. I couldn't have cut fabric out or anything like that. So I needed something that I could just do that was little and it wasn't going to jump around and everything. Anyway, the shaking has just about stopped now. Just in time for my next chemo next Friday. But the shaking has stopped, which is a good thing. Wednesday, I had a Sew Virtual with Alison from Sew Like Dotty. That was brilliant. I don't know whether it was her first one. I think I saw a vlog to say she said it was her first one, but she might have been talking about another one. I don't know. But oh, it was great. There was about 17 of us, I think, on it. I downloaded the Zoom thing on my phone. I was doing it on my phone, so I couldn't see everybody. So my finger kept coming up to my photograph, and I think Alison a couple of times said, yes, Karen. She thought I was putting my hand up or putting my finger up to get their attention. But I was just trying to scroll up like this to see who I could see who was talking. Because you get a little green square around your face when you're talking. But everybody introduced themselves. Bren Holmes was on there, and I know, Bren, you're one of my subscribers, so hello again. And it was lovely. There was a lady on there from Denmark. There was definitely one lady from America. So if you do watch, I know there's people from Australia and America do watch my vlogs regularly, because I can see the breakdown of folk from and where they are. So if you wanted to do Sewing Social, this is just that everybody was cracking on with their little jobs that they were doing, their sewing jobs, and they just had their cameras there. But even like as I was going through and I was measuring cutting out the strips and things for my Mrs. Quilty project, you're listening, and it's just like being in a Sewing Social setting where, you know, you're cracking on with the project you've brought, but you're getting the sewing chat. And then the odd person would say, oh, well, I got this fabric in this sale, and you were like, oh, straight away. And I was trying to see who it was and what the fabric was like. And yeah, I got a really good tip from Alison, actually, that she'd said on her Baby Lock course that she's just been on, because she's now an ambassador for Baby Lock. Somebody had used artery clamps to grab hold of I think it was a thread or something like that, I thought, oh, that's brilliant, that's what I need. Because to use a pair of tweezers when I've got the shakes, the tweezers sort of do this and I can't grab thread. So as a result of Wednesday's Sew Virtual, I have ordered 2 pairs of artery clamps. I mean, what Amazon will think I am on ordering them when it's the first sort of medical bit of instrument. They must think, oh, there's funny business going on in Wickham. I really enjoyed it. I think you paid £5, and I think it was 2 hours. It was 10 till 12. And then all of a sudden Alison sort of said, well, ladies, it's gone 12 o'clock, and it just went like that. It was exactly like the Sewing Social. 2 hours just went. So that was Wednesday. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And Tuesday this week, this is the health side of things. So I mean, if you're not interested, please feel free to leave. But I've had a bit of a bother with my eyes. I got my cataracts done, but since about August gone, I have had trouble seeing, and it's just been occasionally. And because it was August and I'd been on this chemo a while, I was blaming it on the chemo. They're blaming the cataracts on the chemo. The opticians are, not the GPs or anybody, but the opticians are saying it's probably been your chemo that's damaged, that gave you the cataract. So what I'm getting now is like, I'm seeing everything through a veil. So I can't see myself clearly on the phone when I'm looking at myself. I'm all a little bit fuzzy. But the light that is coming in from this window here, this is what I was saying before about having a problem with the light. The light that's coming in, it's like, if you see, you know, when you get the rays of the sun shining through, say, a window across a room, and it sort of picks up all the dust motes and you can see the actual rays across the, well, my whole field of vision is like that. It's as if I've got this net curtain. Now, if you put net curtain across your field of vision into Dr. YouTube or Dr. Google, it immediately comes up with detached retina. And I literally was imagining coming out of the opticians with a Labrador and a stick. I was terrified they were going to say, I'm sorry, but your vision's going. I was just thinking, well, that's sewing, that's me diamond art, that's me jigsaws, that's everything that I love, apart from the fact that, you know, I wouldn't be able to see anyway. What am I going to do if my vision's going to be so bad that I'm not going to be able to sew, or am I going to have any vision left at all? And I was just terrified. I really was. And it's been like this all over Christmas. Reading a book in bed on a night time is murder, because I've got my bedside light and that's casting a sort of a film over my book, and even with my glasses on I can't read, and it's quite big print what I've got on my book. So it's just yeah, it's murder at the minute. The vision is not good. So I am liking sewing during the day. Night times, not so good. Even with my BenQ lamp, lights actually make it worse. It's like this morning out with the dog and I'm talking to somebody on the field because the sun was behind them. Couldn't see them at all. Absolutely no way. So I had to sort of stand with my back, but I still had to sort of go like that to sort of put this, even, you see, if I do that now and I'm sort of shielding the light from the window, I can see myself clearly-ish. That's just my normal poor vision. But everything immediately becomes a bit clearer on my table and everything like that. So that's 7 minutes of waffle on this. I bet you wish you'd switched off now when I said switch off. So anyway, the guy says what I need to do is, when they do the cataract, they can't get all the cells, or they don't often get all the cells. And what has happened to me can happen a few days, a few weeks, months, or even years after you've had your cataracts operated on. And it's cells that are left behind. They split and divide and split and divide and multiply in this aqueous fluid that is around your lens. And I'm probably explaining this completely wrong, and there'll be opticians and, you know, optometrists and that saying, you know, no, that's completely wrong. But if they join up together and form like this little veil over the lens of the eye. So what they need to do now is a bilateral capsulotomy or capsulectomy, and basically they're going to blow a hole in this layer. So it's like the test that they do where they say focus on the end of the road, focus on the balloon and the puff air in your eye, which I hate because I jump all the time. But it's obviously a bit stronger than that, I think. So I'm so relieved, and yeah, can't tell you how pleased I am that that's all it is. Also, over Christmas, I was told by my GP I have a hiatus hernia. Had it for ages, apparently. Never been told that at all. All the CT scans I've had, and that's what she was looking at. She was looking at CT results on screen in the GP's practice. Did you know you've got a hiatus hernia? No, I didn't, but my dad had one, so I am turning into my dad. And then she also said, oh, and you're also very anemic. And I thought that could explain the tiredness then. It's not just the chemo. See, when you have chemo, you blame everything, and I mean everything, on chemo. If you get a headache, you forget you had 3 gin and tonics the previous night, and you blame the headache on the chemo. You know, you do. You just, I've been getting cramp in my legs, as you know, really, really bad one night, and I blame the chemo. And one of my subscribers had said about the cramp, they'd said put a bar of soap in the bed, like under your, where you put your feet or whatever, just down the side of the bed, just somewhere in the bed where you're not going to kick it or whatever. Hey, it works. It absolutely works. Straight away went and got a bar of soap, put it in the bed, and I haven't had, like when I've been in bed, I haven't had cramp at all. I've had cramp downstairs last night in my cough, but that was just one leg. It was nothing like that night. And so thank you very much. It might, she said it's going to sound balmy, but yeah, it does. But I've heard all sorts to stop cramp in bed. Bag of corks was one of them. So maybe there's something in it. I really don't know. But yeah, the soap in the bed definitely works. So I'm going to crack on with the Lyra today. Like I say, we have to go to the shops, but then I might get a little bit of sewing done when we come back before the light goes. Okay, people, I will catch up with you next week. Have a fab weekend, a fab week. Get lots of sewing done or whatever your thing is. And can you give me a like and a subscribe? And feel free to comment. Love your comments. Love you all. All right. Take care now. Bye.